Welcome back. You're watching Credlin. Well, the Morrison government's Royal Commission into this summer's bushfire crisis has hit a roadblock, as Victoria's Premier Daniel Andrews is now holding off supporting the national inquiry. Mr David Packham OAM is a scientist with many years at the CSIRO and now an honorary senior research fellow with Monash University. He spent over 50 years examining bushfires and ways to reduce their impact. He joins me now live from country Victoria. David Packham, thank you very much for your time. I know we're talking about all the very urgent and important issues with coronavirus, but it was only a couple of months ago that bushfires were front of mind and equally urgent for Australians. I don't want to let the issue of the Royal Commission pass without asking why and chasing down, I think, your response in relation to it's not yet a refusal, but it's certainly a serious reluctance by Daniel Andrews to join the Royal Commission, the National Inquiry.
Yes, well, I don't think it's going to make any difference to the success or otherwise of the Royal Commission, which is one of the most hopeful things that has occurred recently to once again turn Australia back into a healthy and safe environment. I think it could well be the start. Now, with or without the Victorian cooperation, and they've got form on this because they did the same trick, the same undemocratic move to the House of Representatives Select Committee on the Environment when they did a investigation or a report on the 2003 fires. They stopped all their information being available to the people of Australia, and they're doing the same thing now. For example, I learnt today that the Gippsland Disaster Relief Fund, which has already dispensed $9 million, has another $1 million to dispense, and they want to send it or put it in the areas that are mostly have suffered the most damage. And an email fell off a desk which was an instruction from the government to the bureaucracies that they are not to release to the people of Australia this sort of information. And it really is turning into a secret state.
Well, this is the issue with the Royal Commission, and I hope I don't get into too much technical detail for people at home, but when you have letters patent in relation to a Royal Commission, you can have a Royal Commission at a Commonwealth level and you obviously have it at state level. The 2009 Victorian Royal Commission was one established by letters patent in the state of Victoria only. We're talking about this being national. New South Wales and South Australia have already issued their letters patent, so they're in. Queensland, Western Australia said they will, still to come with the formal letters patent. They're signed off actually by the Governor or in some cases the Queen. This is so the Royal Commissioner has all the powers necessary, can compel witnesses, can search and get official documents and can really get to the bottom of an issue. Is Victoria's reluctance to be involved, do you think, because Daniel Andrews doesn't want witnesses called out of Victoria and doesn't want information and documents like things, targets, let's say, on hazard reduction burns that were promised in the 2009 Royal Commission recommendations and have yet to be adopted? What's the rationale, do you think?
Well, the rationale is quite simple. They've got so much dirty washing, and the ultimate responsibility for the deadly condition that exists in Victoria. For example, two examples. In the last 100 years, there's been 800 bushfire deaths in Australia. 600 have been in Victoria. And since 1962, in similar country, similar forests, easier country perhaps, but more difficult weather, the West Australians, by their fuel management program, have had 2 bushfire deaths since 1962. Victoria's had 312. Now, there's a lot of dirty washing there, and that's got to come out if we're going to solve this problem. And it will come out because if the Commonwealth play their powers adequately, especially if they could use a few defence surveillance resources, they could set the standard to make Australia safe and healthy once again. So it's got to happen. I suspect it won't happen whilst we have this current government in power.
I have to leave it there, David Packham, but I hope people in Canberra, in and around coronavirus, are listening to a very clear signal you gave there about satellite defence imagery. And if they've missed it, I'll ring a few people I know to make sure I underline that point. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Well, thank you for the wonderful job you're doing.
Thank you.